let's talk about this. On Saturday, I went out to meet Dave Rawding and Andy Davies. So they were on the River Hull at Ticton. We have spoken to Dave and Andy before. You might remember they're preparing to head to Estonia to take part in a 100-kilometre kayak race. It's called an ultra marathon. Thousands of people take part in this, and it's a huge event. But we haven't had a team from the UK ever attempting it before. So Dave and Andy are going to do that. They'll be raising money for Dove House Hospice. It was very cold on Saturday morning. I don't know if you remember. And I was meeting them at 10 o'clock. I got in the car, realised that I had no petrol. The light was flashing and had been since the previous evening. I thought I'd go to the petrol station, get some top up quick. The petrol station was closed. That's when you panic, isn't it? And I thought, where is the nearest petrol station? You're crawling to it and you're just in your head, you're just saying to the car, please do not die, please do not die, please do not stop. Just keep going until I get to the forecourt. I managed to get some petrol, but I was a little bit late to meet Dave and Andy, and I just have to say thank you to them again for being so generous to me when I arrived, and not being cross that I'd made them wait in the cold and their kayaking gear before being able to set off on their training. So as I say, I went to meet them at one of these training sessions on Saturday. So we've got Dave and Andy very kindly have waited for me to join them at the Crown and Anchor in Kingston, where you're going to go out on a bit of a training row. Is that right? The terminology, row?
Paddle. Usually, yes. Yeah.
I thought it might be wrong. Paddle, thank you. It's a bit cold. Is this the sort of conditions you're used to paddling in?
Being from UK, we can paddle in anything from snow through to gorgeous sunshine, really. This is not our preferred conditions, but we don't know what it's going to be like in Estonia when we paddle there, so it's getting used to all different conditions. So, yeah, all good.
What would your preferred conditions be?
South France, gorgeous sunshine. Just being able to wear lycra tops and just be able to paddle down in the sun would be brilliant. But we know it's not going to be like that in April in Estonia. No.
Why haven't you picked something in the south of France then?
I'll have to hand you over to Dave to ask that question.
Dave, why have you signed up for this?
We wanted an ultra challenge, and really 100 kilometres in Estonia in April when they're just getting out of winter is going to be a challenge. Ideally it's not going to be windy, ideally it's not going to be raining, because we anticipate we're going to be in the boat for at least 10 hours. Some of the participants are going to be there for 24 hours, but we're hoping that we can do that distance within 10 hours.
Goodness me. I mean, we're here now on the side of the River Hull. You've got the two-man kayak. You can hear that. And long, but I was shocked at how narrow it is. That's no comment on either of your size, by the way. But how comfy is it in there?
It's quite simple, really. If you're an experienced kayaker, this is very stable, very fast. Hence the length of it. It's a fast sea kayak, a double fast sea kayak. We wanted something that can actually cut through the water quickly, and obviously the wider it is, the slower it's going to go.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to beat 1,500 competitors, then actually you want something that's going to be competitive, and we're hoping this boat will be.
Well, absolutely. I hope so too. I really do. So today training, what are you going to go out and do today?
Our intention is to go up the Hull. We're probably going to try and get as far as Driftfield. We don't know what the water conditions are going to be like. The river's very, very high at the moment, but we're probably going to be on the water for about 3 hours, which Andy and I are slalom paddlers. Our racing normally consists of 90 seconds, so 3 hours on the water is going to be a big challenge today. Yeah. But we're doing it for a great cause.
Yes, you are. Well, you've got Dove House Hospice sponsored kit. Is this a sort of life jacket you're wearing?
Yeah, this is a buoyancy aid. We're very fortunate. Peak UK have sponsored us our buoyancy aids and our cagoles, which are branded with Dove House, which is a great local charity that we're actually doing this ultra marathon to support.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you've got the orange caps. Is that just fashion?
No, this again is Peak UK equipment, and the boat colour scheme, with it being white and orange, we decided to go for orange and then split it up with a bit of blue in there. So obviously we are raising money for Dove House, and if you do want to give any money to us, that would be absolutely brilliant. You can actually visit our Kingston Kayak Club website, which is www.kkc.org.uk/charity, and all our links on there. So if you want to follow us when we actually do the race, there'll actually be live broadcasting of where we are on the river. hopefully travelling really fast down the river.
Yeah, hopefully.
We're going to be the first British crew ever to compete in it, which makes it an extra challenge. But part of the reason for wearing bright hats is the fact if you do actually capsize, obviously people can see you. We are not going to capsize, albeit we've actually had a practice Eskimo roll in it, and we can still do it. But
sorry, that just sounds awful. Eskimo rolling, where you go into the water under and back up.
Yeah, correct.
We have been practicing that on the outdoor pool at Albert Avenue, so not in the River Hull, which would be cold, very cold. Albert Avenue is, even during the winter, is heated to about 10 degrees for the outdoor swimmers. So it was pleasant to do the roll.
Carla, just to go back to one of the reasons this is such a challenge, it starts in a lake, enters a river. The river's got some rapids in it, it's got some weirs, it's got some portages. So it's not just a straightforward marathon race. There's a lot of whitewater technique going to be required. With 1,500 boats setting off at pretty much the same time, there's going to be some navigation just to avoid collisions as you enter the narrow bit of the river.
Yeah. So how rocky might it get?
I mean, it depends entirely on what the water levels are like in Estonia, how much snow's melted. Last year they had really high water levels, which meant the faster times were met because of the fact that obviously the river's pushing through, so the boats travelling along with the current go faster. So we, because we're experienced whitewater paddlers, really hope that they've had loads of rain, the snow's melted and it's pummelling down, because obviously we're not going to be paddling anywhere near as long and it'll be less energy sapping. When I saw it, I just thought, this is just we really, unfortunately, our friends of the family, canoeists from a club, have been supported by Dove House. They do give a great service, and if you're going to do something in behalf of them, it's got to be something that really wants to push you, because actually in the darkest hours, when we're really struggling, actually knowing that you're doing it for a cause that's so worthwhile will actually just spur us on to put that extra bit of effort in.
But if you're starting at 7 a.m, you hope to do it in about 10 hours, so you won't be going through the night if you can avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, whatever happens, we've been the first British crew to do it. We've got to get the best ever British results. So that's going to be one advantage.
It's true, isn't it? First UK team to enter this event, so whatever time they set, that is the time to be. It will be a UK record. Dave Rawding and Andy Davis preparing to head to Estonia to take part in that 100-kilometre kayak race. Chatting to me on the banks of the River Hull at Tickton. We were next to the Crown and Anchor pub, which was closed, but I was told because I was being nosy while I was there, that it's set to reopen in April. Is the word on the street, so we'll see if that happens. But nice to see them. It's very cold. They were very kind to wait for me as well after my petrol drama, but I got there in the end. We're going to hear more from Dave and Andy a little bit later on in the show. A reminder though, if you do want to sponsor them, if you do want to follow their journey and find out a bit more, it is Kingston Kayaking Club, which is www.kkc.org.uk. So have a look on there for more details. But as I say, you'll hear more from them later on in the show. So on BBC Radio Humberside. Now, two people who will be keeping an eye on the clock when they're in their kayak in Estonia are Dave Rawding and Andy Davis, taking part in a 100-kilometre kayak race. 24 hours. I think you can do this race within 24 hours. They're hoping though to do it in 10 hours. They're setting off at 7 o'clock in the morning, so they're hoping to do it sort of through the day and not have to do it into the evening, but it does depend on conditions as to how fast they might be able to do it. Nobody in the UK has ever attempted this before, so it's a first in that respect, and they're hoping to raise money for Dove House Hospice as well. So I went out on Saturday morning to meet Dave and Andy at Tickton on the banks of the River Hull, and as well as training how to paddle the boat, they've also been training on how to eat and drink whilst in their kayak. So we're on the side of the River Hull at the Crown and Anchor. You meet at this point normally to have a pint, but sadly not open at the moment, Dave, so that was a bit of a faux pas.
Absolutely. It used to be the carrot at the end of a training session, going in there and having a brilliant pint.
And you're out today to hopefully do 3 hours along the River Hull. This is all in preparation for the big marathon event in Estonia. Weather conditions, you said, fairly similar maybe to what you might experience over there, so that's good. So ahead of training, or ahead of the event, what preparation goes into it sort of on the day?
Well, I mean, firstly, you've got to be nourished, because obviously it's an endurance event. So ensuring that you've got sufficient calories in the body on the build up to that is going to be important. But one thing is also being able to hydrate and eat during the actual trip itself. And today, one of the things Andy and I are going to be practicing is actually drinking and eating whilst we're on the move. And we've got a bit of a plan for how we can keep the boat moving whilst one of us has to reach in to get whatever we want to do. But it's quite important, you know, for ultra events, if you don't feed the body, then actually a short time into it, your performance will drop off quickly. But of course, because this is a brand new event for Andrew and I, it's having to think through quite how we can do that efficiently with losing the least possible time.
Well, you've got the kayak, I nearly called it a canoe. The kayak is here in front of us, just to prove it. You've got water bottles here. Now, you've got them sort of tied onto the top. Are you going to be able to reach this furthest one then from the seats?
That's the plan. Yeah. It should do that. I've got one close too. If I need to sort of reach further forward to get the second one later in the journey, then I will do. And Andy and I will keep the boat balanced so that, you know, when one of us is actually performing, trying to reach in to get our snacks out the compartments or the fluid that we're going to drink, that the boat is going to be stable enough that we're not going to end up swimming alongside it.
Yeah, okay. Because that would be an awful way to go down, wouldn't it? Reaching for water. You've just opened this a nifty little contraption. Wait, and you've got Snickers bars inside.
Yeah, well, it's got to be it's got to be high energy food. So both of us like Snickers. So there are other things that we're going to take, and you know, we've been looking at sort of some websites about what other athletes doing ultra sort of events sort of have, and jam sandwiches seem to be one of the things. So both Andy and I are quite fond of a jam sandwich. So jam sandwiches are going to be in there as well.
Not under your cap like Paddington.
No, I really want one marmalade in my hair.
This is true. Andy, anything else that you sort of have to do in preparation?
Yeah, so there are some rules within the actual race. So we have to carry a mobile phone with us because there's certain checkpoints that we have to reach in a certain time. And if we drop out, we need to be able to ring them to say we're not going to be continuing the race. We won't be dropping out. But then we are going to be doing this unsupported, so a lot of the local paddlers, so Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian paddlers, will have a crew with them to help them carry the boat when it's portages, restock the actual food. So we're going to have to carry most of the stuff we are going to be paddling and eating during the paddle actually in the boat. So with it, this is half the reason we went for a sea kayak, is the fact that it has multiple compartments that we can actually fill with food and also changing clothing, because with us setting off at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be cold then it's going to warm up throughout the day, and then as we push into the afternoon it potentially could get colder again. Also, as we use energy stores, our body temperatures will drop, so it's about being able to take clothing that we can put on and keep warm throughout the race. When
you've got big coats with your sort of fleece line, is this the sort of thing that you'd wear?
No, this is just for getting changed in today. So we'll be having them there with us so we can stay warm before actually getting on for the actual start. Because we're not too sure how that's going to work, because with there being 1,500 competitors, that's a lot of boats on the water. So it's a case of being able to get on the water and not be on the water too long before you're actually starting paddling and using energy.
We'll be taking the least possible equipment so that we're comfortable, but we're not carrying excess stuff, because obviously, you know, weight makes it's a penalty, a time penalty, and so we need to think that through, which is part of the reason we're sort of training now. We were sort of thinking what we're going to wear today, just to ensure that, if you like, we've got our best preparation.
And because I nearly ran out of petrol, I made you sit and wait longer, but it's all good practice. That's what I was thinking.
You asked our big coats for waiting for reporters for, actually.
I'm so sorry. No, you might say no, but can I sit in it? I was told by the boss that I'm not allowed to go on the water, but I can. I'm going to sit in it. I just want to see the size of it when you sit in, so I'm just stepping in. Oh my God, it's rocking already. How do you do this?
Both feet in.
Both feet in, yeah. Okay.
And just
sit down.
Lower yourself down, and you should be able to then just slide your legs forward.
Like, oh gosh, your legs go. It's better than Ryanair, isn't it? You got more leg room. That's good. That's actually not so uncomfortable. And who is Dave? You're at the front.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there a reason that you've done it that way?
Well, the person in the front is actually we've got a rudder on this boat, so the person in the front does the steering. But actually, Henry, as you can see, is bigger and stronger than I am, so it makes more sense for him to be at the back.
Okay.
I mean, ideally, unfortunately, we've been at the front. if I had been at the back, I would have been able to sit and have a gin and tonic whilst he was paddling the boat along. But of course, he can see exactly what I'm doing. But it is general that you put the stronger of the two paddlers in the rear of the craft.
And do you have this? You've got the same amount of leg room at the back of yours.
Yeah, so the only difference for me is I don't have control of the rudder. So the only way I can get the boat to go where it wants to go is just to shout at Dave, really, and say why we're heading that way. But otherwise, my seat is a little wider, and that's just because of the shape of the boat. But it is supremely comfortable, really, in the back of the boat.
Well, I'm going to let you get on because I know I've delayed you already, and I'm sorry about that. Let me get out first before you don't want to take me with you, for goodness sake. If you hold it still, I'll climb out. Thank you very much. I've never been in one. That was exciting. It was. I enjoyed that. It's a different Saturday morning for me, sitting in a kayak on the river bank, and then I have a little bit more of a chat with Dave and Andy, and then watch them paddle away. So we will hear a little bit more from them. But just a reminder, they're taking part in this 100-kilometre race in Estonia and raising money for Dove House Hospice. You can find details on the Kingston Kayak Club. That's kkc.org.uk. So have a look on there.
BBC Sound.
Let's go back then to Dave Rawling and Andy Davis for the final time today. I went to meet them on Saturday morning at Tickton on the banks of the River Hull as they were embarking on a 3-hour training session. This is a practice run for a 100-kilometre race that they have entered in Estonia. It's called an ultra marathon event. You can do it within 24 hours, but they're hoping actually to do it within 10. Depends on what the conditions are like. They're doing this for Dove House Hospice. You can find more details on the website, Kingston Kayak Club. But I went to meet them to see how they were getting on. We had a chat about all sorts of things, about training, about the sort of food, drink they need while they're in the kayak and taking part. I got in the kayak as well, which I thought was very exciting. And then I saw them off. So this was ahead of me waving them goodbye. Okay, so you're about to go into the water. Before you do, of course, a quick reminder, this is going to be an amazing event for you, this ultra marathon in Estonia, but raising money for an important cause, Dove House Hospice, and you've had help, haven't you, from other businesses?
Yeah, we really support. Peak UK have supplied our canoeing gear for us, which is brilliant. It's all signed written with Dove House Hospice. P&O Ferries have kindly given us a contribution towards our travel costs, which has been brilliant, and all that adds to money that Andy and I can put into the sponsorship that we wouldn't have had to pay ourselves had it not been for their kind generosity.
How are you getting over there?
We're going Aussie ferries. Hull to Zeebrugge, and then we're driving from to Europort. Then we're driving from Europort to Estonia. So it's an 1800 kilometre drive.
Yeah. And you're just the two of you?
Yes. Yeah. We've got no bank support party, unfortunately. Yeah. We're fine with that. We're experienced canoeists, and we can manage. We can look after ourselves.
Do you get on well enough?
Yeah, most of the time we get on really well. Yeah. Although this is going to be a test because we've never spent 10 hours in the same boat. Together, so it's going to be interesting.
Who might lose their patience first? I think it might be Dave.
Well. So naturally Dave would lose his patience first. However, I can see what he is and isn't doing at the front where he can't see me. Yeah. So I think there's going to be more influence on me losing my patience when he's not putting enough effort in, when we're not going in the right direction, or when he misses a stroke. We've had a couple of incidents where he's wanted to get his hands wet just to stop him from aching, and the boat's wobbled a bit more than I've wanted it to. So
don't do that, Dave.
The advantage of paddling with somebody perfect, obviously, is the fact he never makes any mistakes.
Don't fall out. This is just before a 3-hour training session. Right, you're going to get on with it because you've been so kind to wait for me. You've got a little, is this a little sat-nav thing here?
Yeah, so that's just to track the progress we're making. So it obviously records an actual route, but it also will tell us our speed. So, because one of the biggest challenges is not getting excited and going out at 1,000,000 miles an hour. We need to pace it. It's going to be 10 hours long. We need to pace out at the time, and our paddle strokes and all the rest.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. Well, you're going to get in and show me how you get in to the water. So you get in before you get in the water, don't you? I'm assuming. No. Oh my goodness, you have to float it. Right, they're carrying it down to the water. Dave's at the front, and Andy at the back. So it's now on the edge of the river. I'm going to get as close to the water as I dare. So Dave holding the boat steady then as Andy gets in. So I'm assuming Andy will do the same for you. Is it more difficult for you?
Not really. I mean, it's not the ideal place to get in because the banks are very slippery. The mud is deep and slippery, so you get no traction on your boots, unfortunately. So, so hopefully Andy will hold it. But as I say, we are experienced, but as you get older, getting in and out of canoes is more difficult than the actual bit that you do in them. So
Andy's in and he's put, there's like a cover then that you put around yourself almost.
Yeah, that's a spray deck. The intention being that'll keep the water out the boat. So obviously we want to keep the weight down to an absolute minimum. Yeah. We're going to be going down white water. Yeah. If the water was to come in, obviously this boat wouldn't sink because it's got compartments in it, but obviously it's carrying extra weight. So experienced paddlers use a spray deck, and you see these are neoprene ones. They sit very tight on the boat. And they're very tight around our waist as well. So it just means that we will hopefully stay dry for as long as possible.
Okay. Well, I'll step carefully towards the back of it without slipping in. This will provide the people of Ticton with a laugh, won't it, if I fall in? So now you're sort of holding on as best you can while while Dave gets in.
Yeah, so I'm just supporting myself with my paddle on one side into the mud and then my hand on the bank to make sure that the boat doesn't rock too much. Because the problem is the boat's made of carbon Kevlar, so you can't just put it... With a plastic boat, you put it on the side, you could slide in. But because it's a composite boat and it's a light race spec boat, it means that you need to put it in the water so it's supported and doesn't get any holes, basically, and doesn't break. Because with it being 6.7 metres long, if you had support on the front and the back, there is a potential that it would break its own back and snap in the middle, which would not be good. No.
There we go. You're in.
Yeah, definitely in.
Okay, so they're in the the kayak. They're going paddling. Is that right? So Andy and Dave now, they've got into the kayak and you're setting off. So I wish you well.
Cheers, thank you. Thank you.
Off they go. You feeling good?
Yeah, very good.
See you later. Off they go. Rowing down the River Hull. Paddling. I can't get it right. Paddling. I'm going to step back up onto the bank because I'm too close to the water. Going under the road bridge now. And they'll be off with a distance. A 3-hour training session, of course, in preparation for this 24-hour ultramarathon in Estonia, which they hope to do in 10 hours, raising money for Dove House Hospice. So if you can spare them some pennies, I'm sure they'll be eternally grateful. They absolutely will. Dove House Hospice, as you heard there, that is who they are raising funds for, and you can follow their progress and find out how to sponsor online if you visit the Kingston Kayak Club website, kkc.org.uk.